Aww.
Somebody in my YouTube comments, very nicely, sent me a copy of Diane's deleted video, and it'll become very apparent why it's been deleted. Diane is going to go into a little bit of a racist rant, coupled in with a transphobic jab, a couple other jabs at other types of people. And she's going to end it all, tie it together by comparing the plight of parents becoming estranged from their children to the literal Holocaust. At some point, I'm going to have to blur out a bunch of dead bodies. So we've seen clips of this from Live Abuse Free, but we have not seen the full video. Okay, hi Diane. Hi, it's been a minute. It has been a minute. Was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to see your face again, but here we are. She looks like she laughs at orphans.
Children are dumping their parents and it's ripping families apart. 26% are estranged from their...
I'm sorry, I'm already stopping, dude. At least use B-roll to back up your claims, right? Like the B-roll is like, oh, children are dumping the parents. The B-roll is like a couple fighting. Two grown men in an altercation. Yeah, also, children are dumping their parents. Like imagine as like a child, like 15, 16, sitting your parents down and going, it's not you. It's me. We want different things. You want to control all of my life and I want to, finish high school.
26% are estranged from their dads, 6% from their moms, with 1 in 10 Americans separated from a parent or child. That's 33 million people. If we don't reverse this trend, where do you think we'll be in 10 years? But it's not just everyday folks. Tom Cruise is estranged from his daughter, Suri.
Tom Cruise is estranged from his daughter, Suri, for religious reasons. His church said that she couldn't be his daughter or something. I can't remember. His Church of Scientology cult.
Elon Musk, Cher, 50 Cent, Brad Pitt, Billy Ray Cyrus, and Rosie...
I'm going to try and hit them all, but most of these are like way before my time. Elon Musk, estranged from his daughter, goes on transphobic rants about her. I know nothing about Cher. 50 Cent was like abusive to his son, right? Brad Pitt, all of his kids have been like, yeah, he was abusive. And they all changed their name or are in the process of. And then Billy Ray Cyrus, I don't know. I'm not on board with the whole like forcing your kid to become a child star thing. I'm sure there's more than that.
Donald are all estranged from at least one of their kids. Is this the new normal? I spent hundreds of hours exploring this issue as I healed from my own estrangement.
That can be true. She Googled famous estranged parents and then took the ones that she liked, which happened to be people who are bad people. I don't understand the point she's trying to make. Like, it's wild how they're estranged even though they're rich or famous, or like, why is it surprising that these people have children who don't speak to them? Because they were all problematic in some way. Even like 50 Cent, who I want to like a lot, was abusive towards his son. Surprise, your son doesn't want to talk to you.
So today, we're going to look at some of the cultural factors, including the plight of the parent and solutions for going forward. Toxic parent hashtags show up over 6 billion times on social media.
That's like something I expect to see on Dr. Phil. Like, that was just so dramatic.
The biggest subreddits for estranged adult children number 72,000, and there are dozens of Facebook groups for estranged parents, the largest numbering almost 10,000.
Which is just numbers, right? Like, imagine a parent having 2 kids. That's 2 to 1. I don't understand if she doesn't get math, or... We've met a ton of estranged parents on this channel so far. Most of them have multiple children. Multiple children who are estranged from them. It makes sense to me that there are more estranged kids than there are estranged parents. That's just math.
Shared my estrangement story on YouTube, I got an astounding 30,000 comments. Many from parents experiencing the same heartbreak, but a ton came from angry adult children labeling, judging, and diagnosing me with mental disorders. Is this what they teach in school these days? Or did they learn this on social media? Ditching your parents is easier than working out your interpersonal issues, but is this the kind of America we want to live in?
Ditching your parents is easier than working out your interpersonal issues? Again, we speak about Diane and we say Diane is the wrong person to say any of this. Diane is someone who was given a list of things that were wrong with the relationship and decided not to work on any of them, not even address any of them, except where she said, I'm not even that political, and then went on multiple pro-Trump rants. So, surprise, surprise, surprise. You have no self-awareness. You never have to deal with the person that you are, but the rest of us do. And if that means the people close to you don't want to be anywhere near you, then thank God both your daughters were able to do that. Diane is the textbook definition of an unreliable narrator. Yes. And we've talked about considering who people are before considering what they say. And Diane is just someone who is never going to be able to be honest about who she is or the situation she's in. So instead, she's going to find a way to make herself the good guy in any story. If you are so bad at it, though, that people can see you're the bad person when you are trying so hard to be a good person in every story you tell, brother, you just got to chill.
Parents are dumped when they become inconvenient. What's dividing American families? When I asked estranged parents on my channel what caused their estrangement, 59% said interpersonal problems.
Identity politics at 7%. Political differences at 6%, religious differences at 5%, other at 23%, interpersonal problems at 59%. With the issue with asking one side what caused a rift is that they're going to tell you what they think, not necessarily what caused a rift, because it's the kids that left. And if the kids are the ones leaving, they probably have a better idea of why they left. Just like Diane, if you had asked her at the beginning of all this why her daughter was estranged, she would say politics. And she would say, which doesn't make sense because I'm not even that political. When it's probably a mix of all of this. It's probably a mix of identity and politics, religion seeping into politics. Interpersonal problems are just like an encapsulation of it all. And then other, I don't know what other is going to be.
Other common causes include abuse and neglect, corrosive behaviors, divorce and custody disputes, substance abuse, mental health issues, different values and lifestyles, financial and legal conflicts, lack of communication, interference from third parties, perceived favoritism with siblings, and unresolved past issues.
She snuck interference from third parties in there, and it is so much smaller of a problem than she's going to make it because she's about to bring up therapy. Maybe not now, but sometime in the next 12 minutes, she's going to bring up therapy and why therapy and colleges and all these different institutions are radicalizing your children. And they're the problem. They're the reason your kids don't want to talk to you. It's not you. You are just a really good parent. It's colleges telling kids they don't need parents, they need each other. It's therapy telling them that you were abusive for just wanting what's best for them, but you bought them that candy. Maybe you didn't buy them that toy they wanted, but you bought them that candy that one time. So you weren't abusive. She stuck in a few different things in there. Yeah, perceived favoritism. When I went through the Raised by Narcissist subreddit, a very common thing was people labeling themselves as like the scapegoat or like being like, oh, my sister was the golden child. And like all these labels that I didn't really think of beforehand. It is impossible to treat two people the exact same way. It just is. And even if you manage to do it, they're two different people and will take it differently. A lot of these parents favorited one kid over the other. Typically, it was either the oldest or the youngest that was the favorite. When it was the youngest, it was because the parent had already messed up so much with the others, was able to make a favorite out of the youngest and in some way turn them against their siblings. When it was the oldest, is because they were given realistic expectations and doing well in them. And so the others was just like ignored. How hard is it to admit that you've like done anything wrong? Does the relationship matter enough to you to be wrong even when you're not wrong? When it's you and your child, you should have it in you to be like, oh, maybe I don't think I'm wrong, but I'm at least going to apologize, put my ego aside, and try to make my child feel better. The problem with these specific people is that Diane is wrong, and we all know she's wrong. So we all think like, oh, she'd just be able to say it, but she doesn't, and it's annoying, and she's annoying, and I think I hate her. And I don't know that I knew that I could hate many people, but here I am, again on my own.
No doubt, families are messy. In the past, People seem to work out their differences without jettisoning their loved ones entirely. But now what do? As this commenter suggests, they turn to the therapy industrial complex.
Okay, I said 2 minutes and it was 15 seconds.
2 out of 5 Gen Zers surveyed go to regular therapy. 53% have at some point received professional mental health services. And more than 2/3 have been diagnosed with a mental health condition. 2/3! 36% of millennials have been to therapy. 19% are currently in therapy, and 39% plan to go to therapy in 2024. 90% believe more people should be in therapy. Apparently, therapy is the answer to everything. Discipline problem at home? Send them to therapy. Problem at school? Therapize them on site. These younger generations are the most depressed and anxious in history. Yet they're also the most therapized.
Right. Did you get it? No. This generation is the most anxious in history. That leads to them going to therapy. I didn't realize that was like such a revelation, dude. That's like saying gay people didn't exist 50 years ago. The easiest one to explain is the left-handed, right? The amount of people that were left-handed just spiked up to 11% one day. It's because you used to get in trouble for being left-handed for religious reasons. Left-handed people were associated with the devil and witchcraft and were often burned at the stake. And when they weren't, surprise, 11% of the population is left-handed. Whoa, what a spike. People just deciding to become left-handed one day. Oh, more people are going to therapy now than ever. More people are left-handed now more than ever. Whoa, what a choice. I don't believe that at all, Joe. I don't think that if Diane went to therapy when her family issues arose, she would probably not be estranged. She'd be unable to accept any of the fault. She'd be like, well, this is stupid. This is a waste of time. You can't convince people who don't think they're wrong that they're wrong.
Is this really working? Of course, specific therapies for certain situations can be life-changing. But ongoing talk therapy that goes nowhere? Who benefits? 1 in 4 millennials plans to stay in therapy forever.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that as people who have gone to therapy. Something that therapy does is it helps you progress as a person, and it helps you realize things you would not have realized on your own. It helps you become who it is you're supposed to be faster. And it's like taking a shower. Would you only take a shower if you were completely covered in mud, or do you just shower? It's just part of a routine. And sometimes therapy is part of that routine. You also have the narcissists that are going to sit there and like agree and be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it that way. But as soon as they get out, they can be like, wow, we need a new therapist.
Forever. 1 in 3 consider their therapist their friend. Aww. And who's turning out all these therapists for your kids?
I hate the way she says that, dude. 1 in 3 consider their therapist their friend. Aww. If Diane had a friend, if Diane just had one friend, there's no way she'd be this bad.
Why, that would be the University Industrial Complex.
Yep.
These are the colleges that charge you $200,000 for 4 years of diversity, equity, and inclusion, where they confirm that...
What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Diane, what is this? What is it these people and just taking jabs at people who aren't straight white people? We're 3 seconds away from her going, they're turning the freaking frogs gay, and they're turning your kids trans. They're transing your kids without your permission. You send, I can't do a Trump impression, but I wish I could. You send your boy to school, comes back a girl without your permission. I saw it happen. They know that they're doing it too. They're not sitting here and spilling out their ideas about trans people. They'll make little jabs like this. So they know that they're doing it and they know that it's wrong.
Your gender is anything you want it to be, that others must celebrate your personal view of self. And if they don't, they're transphobes.
Oh, I hate the way she said that too.
And if they don't, they're transphobes. XY chromosomes, that's old school. UCLA Medical School has a bit of a history admitting underqualified racial minorities. According to faculty members, they say the school has prioritized diversity over merit. One professor said that a student in the operating room could not identify a major artery when asked, then berated the professor for putting her on the spot. Is that who you want doing your open heart surgery?
Live Abuse Free made a really good point here. The woman who runs that channel, her name is Zoe. And the point that she made here was Diane weaponizing race to try and like get people to visualize, oh, the person performing surgery isn't like a straight white person. And so it's dangerous. and so they're dangerous. What she's trying to say without saying the words is that people are underqualified when they're not white. I wish people who were racist and transphobic just said that. I'm not racist. I just don't trust a surgeon who's not white. I'm not transphobic. I just don't think you need to be celebrated. I got yelled at today by a non-white student because they didn't know where this artery was. It feels like there's a lot more going on there.
Meritocracy is out the window as colleges ditch standardized testing for screening students. Instead, they look to skin color as a primary indicator of who's in and who's out.
First off, standardized testing is stupid. Some of the smartest people I know are terrible testers. They look at skin color as a primary indicator as to who is in and who is out. There is absolutely no way any medical school in the country is going, all right, before we look at the qualifications, let's let all the colored people in, and then maybe we'll think about letting some of the cocks in. That is so stupid. That's so stupid. I don't know if she wrote this. I don't know if Ted wrote this. I don't know what they thought they were going to get out of it. Like, I really don't. Like, I wish I could read the comments on this video. I wish she hadn't deleted it. I just so badly want to know who looked at this and said, wow, that's so true. I didn't get, I would have gone D1 medical school. You know those people that are like, oh, I almost went D1, dude, but I blew out my knee. I almost went to UCLA Med, but they took an unqualified Mexican over me. All right, so again, if you're Diane, you hate therapy because... Did she have a reason? You hate college because of all the non-white people and also because of the trans people.
Can you read, write, do math? Who cares? What's your ancestry? Ooh, bonus points if they were oppressed, unless you're a Jew. Nobody cares about the Holocaust. These are the universities.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? What is the obsession with these people in the Holocaust? Anything that teaches you to be your own person, anything that teaches you that the abuse you've suffered may have been abuse, is indoctrination to abusers. That's all it's ever going to be. The thing about making videos like this and having to subject myself to people like her is that I have to do it with a lot of acceptance. The acceptance is they're never going to change. It's therapy. That's all it is. We're sitting here talking about who our parents were and who we are. We're looking for understanding, and we just want to be better people than they were. I don't have to sit through every one of Diane's videos to know who I'm not supposed to be. I don't have to be a problematic person to know that it's wrong. I don't have to subject myself to transphobia and racism and homophobia to understand that probably not the best thing to do. Probably not the best person to be. I do it anyway. Diane is just awful. Like, there's just no good thing to say about her. The fact that her daughters took until they were adults to become estranged from her is astounding. Sometimes I say things and people in my comments are like, oh, well, you have no idea what you're talking about, or this doesn't apply to you. No, it does. So I would have left when I was 14 because I did. And in the same way that people were telling me not to like talk about concussions if I have no experience with them, I've had minimum 6 at this point. I do a good job of like not talking too much about things I don't know anything about. Minimum 4. 6 might be a little dramatic.
Therapists to help your kids through life, to the point where the kids become dependent on these third parties who are telling your kids what? That your child is struggling with toxic masculinity and might be better off female? That your white privilege gives you an unfair advantage, and
no one is going, oh, you're a toxic man, consider transitioning into being a woman. I just don't, even if you're trying to be over the top for the sake of being like dramatic, how do you write this? She deleted this video for a reason.
That your white privilege gives you an unfair advantage, and therefore you must kowtow to all of the races.
I've had this conversation a couple of times. Nobody's asking you to apologize for being a white person in the US. Nobody. All that is required of you is an understanding that not everyone has had the same advantages as you. That's it. Nobody's asking you to apologize for being born white. No one's asking you to like shut up, sit down, and not be a person. But like, chill out, dude. Some of these people, her specifically, want to be victimized so badly Is it a kink? Does she want to feel small? What is it about the world that she looks at it and goes, oh, I'm a victim, and I want the world to see that? It sucks to feel small. Doing it just because you want attention is gross. Like, so many of us have to be the kids whose parents never listen to them and won't ever. She gets to choose to be that person in her children's life. She gets to set this boundary where she never is going to listen. She's an adult and she's always right. And then when they leave, she gets to be the victim. And she gets to tell the world, oh, it doesn't matter if you're Black, brown, Asian. The world is going to be so nice to you because you're not white, because you're not a straight white person. How lucky are you to get into UCLA medical school? You don't even have to know anything about medicine. You probably don't even have a bachelor's degree, but you're Black, so they're letting you in. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't want an underqualified colored surgeon. And then when you say, that's kind of racist, she gets to say, well, no, I said underqualified. You don't have to be a minority. You don't have to be gay. You don't have to be trans. You don't have to be anything to look at this video and go, oh, this is gross. Any rational person would look at this and go, oh, yeah, nope. Nothing she has to say from here on out could be taken seriously.
Your parents are clearly toxic for causing you stress, so you should just cut them off. But it's not just therapists who are suggesting that you...
They lighten their own load to make it seem like what you're doing is so drastic. Oh, your parents made you a little stressed. Yeah. Get rid of them. No, you spent your kid's entire life abusing them, and now they're making a decision that is best for themselves. That's your fault, dude. That's your fault.
Estrange yourself from family. It's also the social media megaplex. An estimated 10% or 33 million people are addicted to social media compared to the average person.
You have 3 YouTube channels. You read 14,000 comments.
Where have I heard that number before? Teens average 7 hours and 22 minutes of screen time per day, while kids 8 to 12 years old get an average of 4 hours and 44 minutes.
The only 2 things we've fact checked her on so far in terms of numbers, she's been wrong in, and I would waste my entire day fact checking every single one of these things. If your kid is spending too much time on their phone or their iPad, I'm going to go ahead and say, if an 8-year-old is spending too much time on their iPad, it may not be the fault of the 8-year-old. You and I didn't spend that long on our iPads when we were 8. You know why? Because we didn't have iPads. At some point, you have to figure out it is a parent's job to be a parent.
Per day. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, Reddit, these are all great places to connect with people worldwide over whatever interests you. The problem is, when people hide behind keyboards, it's so much easier to get angry, overreact, and say things to a person that you would never say to them in real life. People get upset, someone throws gas on the fire, everyone's outraged, soon the whole forest is burning, and the algorithms feed on it. Just like that one episode of Star Trek.
Appears to be strengthened by mental radiations of hostility.
Negative headlines get more clicks.
Negative headlines. Negative headlines. Can anyone point out to me where the negative headline in this B-roll is? Negative headlines like Black Lives Matter. Negative headlines like don't murder Black people. With that being teacher, I did not click on the video she made about George Floyd because it was just gonna be rage bait. It was just gonna be rage bait. I did not click on it because it was gonna make us all mad. Negative headlines like Black Lives Matter. I don't do this very often. If you made it this far, do me a favor. Eye contact. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't, because you get to be done with this. I, immediately after stream, take my dog out, then sit right back down, and I have to edit this video. So I have to listen to her voice again, and then again to watch it back to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then again after it's uploaded to make sure I didn't miss anything. So we're 6 minutes and 9 seconds into the video. It is a 16-minute video. Negative headlines like BLM. Nobody cares about the Holocaust. UCLA is only taking in underqualified colored med students. This is who she is. And she had to delete the video because people were like, oops, we let her talk too long. And she deleted the video and then decided, okay. Maybe I should tone that back. And instead of showing people what I actually think and why maybe my daughter decided to leave, I'm just going to become a pretend therapist. Haha.
Negative content gets more engagement. Negativity keeps people on platforms for longer, which lets them serve more ads, which is how they make money.
That's a really good explanation of why people watched her first video. Because it was just an attack on her daughter. It was super negative and gross.
Doling out dopamine like slot machines. Social media platforms hack the human psyche to keep your eyeballs angry and engaged for hours on end.
It exists on the hate of others.
Where everyone assumes, projects, judges, condemns, often on the tiniest bit of information.
Which is what you've been doing for the last 7 minutes.
Where outrage is the norm.
Fighting while an alien has total control over us.
So what happens when young people grow up, roaming freely in this seemingly friendly yet subversively hostile social media environment, spending years in therapy while doing so? Why, we get the weaponization of therapy speak. Mental health awareness has increased thanks to social media. This is both good and bad. On the one hand, this enables people to more easily assess their own situations. But on the other hand, the casual misuse of psychological terms is rampant.
This video was made after a bunch of people labeled her as a narcissist. And she said that earlier on. So she's going to find a way to be like, well, I'm not a narcissist. I don't care that 7,000 people called me a narcissist because you guys are just weaponizing therapy talk. You don't actually know. In the same way that if 500 psychiatrists, therapists, people who are licensed, and people who could diagnose her as a narcissist did so, she'd be like, nope. She's just going to find different reasons to say that she is not any of the issues she is. And what am I going to do at this point? Be surprised? These are the people that you're dealing with. These aren't normal people. These aren't people who tried to be good parents and just didn't. These aren't people who have good ideas and just weren't able to hand them over to their kids. These are bad people. These are really, really bad people with terrible ideas who are raising children in this society. And I'm so glad that their kids were able to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be racist like my mom. Maybe I don't want to be transphobic like my parents. These are the people whose kids go to school and say things they shouldn't say to other kids because it's what their parents think. These are the people who raise children to go to school, and at 7 years old, the kid's like, oh, I can't be friends with you, you're black. But the kid doesn't know what they're saying. The kid gets it from their parents. And if you're white, that may seem a little dramatic to you, but I guarantee you, so many of us, I'll say most of us, have had an experience where someone else, where like a white kid told us like, oh, I can't be friends with you. Your parents don't speak English. Or like my parents said your parents should go back to their country. Something whack.
Labeling people as narcissists, toxic, abusers, bipolar, borderline, and more fosters this culture of superficial therapeutic language that creates a sense of othering, which leads to an overemphasis of personal boundaries at the expense of mutual understanding and connection.
An overemphasis of personal boundaries at the expense of mutual understanding and connection. Aren't boundaries part of mutual understandings? Personally, do not like physical touch. Cool. Mutual understanding. You should not have to give up your boundaries to have a relationship with someone. You should find people who understand your boundaries and whose boundaries you understand. And it should be that easy. I don't like that every time we talk, you call me slurs. Wow, that's such a gross boundary for you to have. You just don't understand that that's just the way I talk. There's no mutual understanding with someone who doesn't respect your boundaries. Like personally, don't like that you're racist, don't want to be your friend. Oh, you just don't get it, bro. You just don't get it. I actually do not understand what she's trying to say. Rather, why she's saying it.
Abigail Schreier analyzes the potential harms of psychotherapy in detail. In some cases, interventions have led to worse outcomes, like increased depression or drug use. Multiple studies have found a strong link between heavy social media use an increased risk for depression, anxiety, loneliness, and self-harm, even suicidal thoughts. There's also the questionable trend in mental health services of pathologizing normal behaviors and emotions, leading to overdiagnosis and overtreatment that can make healthy individuals perceive themselves as mentally ill.
Pathologizing normal behaviors and emotions. These are people who have normalized having like an angry person in your house who just always yells and who cannot communicate and who always starts fights. That's normal. Fighting's normal. Oh, stuff like that. You're allowed to have an issue with those things and you're allowed to say, no, that's not normal. Change it. These are people who are like, no, it's normal to have parents who are like this. That's why I'm like this. And if you want that to change, well, then that's your problem. And she is making it so vague, so vague, so vague. Like she doesn't say which issues.
We definitely see these social contagions on places like TikTok, where the more extreme your alleged mental illness, the more clicks, likes, and comments you get. Schreier criticizes our reliance on mental health experts.
Very few people, very, very few people are pretending to have a mental illness for TikTok clout. Probably actually fewer people than the amount of narcissistic estranged parents using their estrangement for TikTok clout. So pick one, dude.
Over parental instincts and suggests a more balanced approach, one that encourages self-reliance and resilience in children rather than fostering dependence on therapy and medication. But what we have now, the resulting therapy speak that's everywhere online today, it's creating real divisions in society. As people get angrier and more extreme, where do you think that leads? To the precursor of human atrocities, cancel culture, loneliness, isolation, and social contagion.
When people like her say cancel culture, and the term cancel culture is super popular now, what she means is just some sort of accountability. Like in this video alone, she, out of context, said the Holocaust didn't matter. She has gone on a racial rant based on DEI hires. She's made jabs at trans people. And if you were to point out any of it, she would go, wow, this is cancel culture. You're trying to cancel me. No, dude, people who have these ideas shouldn't just be allowed to spout them. Like, that's weird. I don't think cancel culture is in the Geneva Convention. This human atrocity that is cancel culture.
These four phenomena are deeply intertwined in America today. Together, they are tearing people down and ripping society apart. Cancel culture, which collectively ostracizes individuals or entities for any perceived transgression, leads to deepened feelings of loneliness and isolation. Those targeted by cancel culture can experience severe social exclusion, losing their public platform, personal connections, support networks, and sometimes even their careers. Loneliness and isolation, already significant concerns in our society, are intensified by the fear of being canceled. This fear prompts us to self-censor and withdraw, reducing our sense of community and support, which
if you are racist or transphobic or homophobic or in any way problematic, anti-Semitic, or just generally a bad person, I don't want you to self-censor at all. I want you to tell me. I want you to let me know so that I can just stop interacting with you. We just went through a whole video of that vegan teacher going, I'm going to say the N-word because if I say the actual word, my video is going to get deleted or I'm going to get canceled. And then she says it anyway. There's not a lot to say, especially that I haven't already said about Diane. And I'm not surprised this is who she is. This is who she is. I just don't understand using who you are as an excuse to continue being a bad person. You have been given so many hints in life that are telling you, hey, the person you are is not the person you should be. And instead of listening to them and instead of being like, oh, maybe there's a part of me that can grow, maybe there's a part of me that's wrong, you double down and you're like, no, it's not my fault, it's society's. No, it's my kid's fault. No, you people can't label me a narcissist. You're just backseat therapist. No, you're weaponizing therapy talk. Dude, consider that you may be the problem for a second, for 1 second, and see where we get. I hate how she can't stay on topic either. Like how does complaining about the possibility of having a non-white surgeon doing open heart surgery connect all the way back to your kid not wanting me to talk to you, Diane? How are those two things connected? UCLA is doing too many DEI medical student hires, and that's why my daughter is estranged. I don't get it.
Is essential for our well-being. I mean, look at me. I barely post on this channel because the haters are so hateful. Social contagion, the spread of behaviors.
The haters are so hateful. I barely post on this channel because if I do, I get 14,000 comments, 13,000 of which are telling me I'm wrong and a bad person. And instead of maybe listening to them and maybe being like, oh, if 13 out of 14 people think I'm a bad person, if 93% of people don't agree with me, they're wrong. Yep, we're good. Move on.
Attitudes and emotions through social networks plays a huge role in all of this. Negative sentiments and punitive actions multiply rapidly, often without full consideration of context or consequences, which means people...
I don't need a lot of context, dog. Like for this situation, I really don't. In what context is saying negative headlines like Black Lives Matter make you angry? And so you just like watch longer. In what context is that even just an okay thing for you to say?
People spread lies fast.
This entire video is a mess.
Collective behavior reinforces the cycle of fear and isolation as people become increasingly wary of expressing dissenting views or showing empathy toward the canceled individuals.
Do you think Diane could provide an example of someone who may be canceled for having the right views? Because she's trying to defend herself and deflect blame by saying, oh, if I say these things I've said, I'm going to get canceled and that's what people are afraid of. You should not be given a platform, which is essentially what that is for these things. You should be deplatformed for being racist and transphobic and for giving awful advice and for being a problem. I don't see how that's an issue. Not everyone should get an opinion. I don't think racists should have an opinion on race. I don't think people like her should get an opinion on most things, especially when none of them really apply to her. Does she want to talk about being a woman in the US? I'll listen. Even if she like sat here and said, this is why I'm voting for Trump, I would sit and I would listen, whether or not I agreed. But don't talk to me about race. That's not your place, dude. I get it. You're a white woman in the US. Once again, that does not entitle you to an opinion on everything. I hate Diane. Like, I don't know if that's a surprise. Like, this just stresses me out. This makes my chest hurt.
Which leads us to stage 4 of this communal cancer. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities.
That applies to you. That's not the other side, dude. That's you. That's you. You making other moms believe that they're right, making other parents believe that they're right so they continue to be abusive. That's all that is.
I said earlier that these 4 phenomena are the precursor to human atrocities. This is not hyperbole. This is history. In Hitler's Germany, Mao's China, and Stalin's Soviet Union, authoritarian regimes exploited social contagion to spread extremist ideologies, fostering environments where individuals were isolated from dissenting viewpoints and community bonds. The fear of being ostracized or punished drove people to perform and participate in oppressive actions that they wouldn't otherwise.
She is not comparing children leaving their... Oh, this is a terrible frame to stop on, Max. She is not comparing children leaving their abusers because they've listened to each other and to their therapists, to people who listened to Hitler and committed atrocities. Like, you can't be that stupid. You just can't. I refuse to believe as an adult you made it that far being that dumb. Oh, also these are dead bodies. I have to blur that out.
Except out of self-preservation. These dynamics facilitated the rise of totalitarian movements, leading to widespread human rights violations and atrocities like the Holocaust.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? She's still going. I'm just going to be very zoomed into myself. Instead of blurring this out and trying to just like do something with it. Hi, if you're watching this part of the video and you're listening to Diane talk and it's just my face, that's because she keeps showing dead bodies. And I'm not putting that on YouTube.
Terror and the Great Purge. crimes against humanity. Is this the kind of America we want to live in?
Brother,
Because
I don't know how to tell you. There's not a point that you've made. And I wish you hadn't deleted this video because it just tells people who you are. You made the mistake of thinking that a subscriber count meant people agreed with you. It didn't, and it doesn't. People wanted community. Both sides. People who didn't have parents wanted to be understood. People who were bad parents wanted a place to feel like they weren't. And you have people all over the middle. There are plenty of estranged parents who actually did not do a terrible job. Plenty might be a weird word. There are some parents out there who are estranged and maybe it's not their fault. But not a single one of these groups of people is your audience for you to go on racist, transphobic, anti-Semitic, just weird rants. It's not your place and you should leave it alone. But thank you, I guess, for making a point of telling people who you actually are. That's gross. You're gross. What's worse? Being a Jewish person in Nazi Germany or your kids not talking to you anymore? Is that the point you're trying to make? People are not falling into a cult of estranging from their parents. People are doing a better job of taking care of themselves. Which is what you should do. You should take care of yourself. That way, you can take care of the people around you. You don't have to force yourself to just survive next to an abuser. It sucks. Plenty of people do it for their own reasons, and I'm not here to tell you you're right or wrong. That's just a dumb situation to be in. And it's because the person abusing you is probably just stupid. Diane, congratulations. You made it so far being an idiot. Wish I had that in me. I wish I was dumb enough to be who you are. But no, I have to listen to you talk. How are we 2.5 hours into stream? We're 11 minutes into this video.
the tyranny of the fringe is taking us there. We cannot let extremists of any kind take over civilization, or it will lead to ruin. We need to turn away from cancel culture, look out for each other, and focus on what's good versus stewing in.
She's misstepping these points. If we looked out for each other first, and we all were good enough people to help each other progress, there wouldn't be a need for cancel culture. We're not telling you to accept people who are hurting other people. There's nothing harmful about being gay or trans, surprise, or black, or some other minority. No one is telling you to accept people who are hurting other people. So if you were willing to be a person who understands other people and who helps other people progress, then there wouldn't be a need for cancel culture. There wouldn't be a need to be like, oh, that person's racist, let's not listen to them. Consider just not being racist.
Negativity for hours and days on end. We need to encourage real conversations, but with empathy, reason, and emotional resilience.
People like Diane do not understand empathy. I don't need to explain that. This entire video has shown that. She doesn't want people to empathize with her. She wants people to sympathize for her. She's the victim, and she wants you to know that.
To meet these challenges together without destroying each other. And it all starts at home with the plight of the parent.
What is the challenge? What is the challenge that you're talking about?
And emotional resilience to meet these challenges together without destroying each other.
What is the challenge that you were talking about? All I've gotten out of this video is the challenge is UCLA is taking too many non-white medical students.
And it all starts at home with the plight of the parent. Most parents learn parenting from their own parents and try to do better. Yes, there are many books with conflicting opinions about how to be a good parent. But until you're in it, you really have no idea how it feels viscerally to.
I will agree that you probably don't know what it's like to be a parent if you're a parent. However, it doesn't take you being a parent to be able to say something my parents did was abusive. That's not a revelation. And it's not just her that said something like that. It goes all the way back to the Dr. Phil clip. The Dr. Phil video of that mom who was just like berating her son-in-law, right? And she had 3 people from the audience that agreed with her and 3 people who didn't. And when the 3 people agreed with her, she just said, "Thank you. Yes, you're so right," and moved on. And for the 3 people that didn't agree with her, she immediately went, "You don't know what it's like to be a mom. You don't have kids." And then Dr. Phil stopped her and went, "Okay, hold on. Do you have kids?" And the 3 people that disagreed with her said no. And she goes, "See?" And then Dr. Phil turns to the people that did agree with her. "Do you have kids?" 2 of them said no. And then he turns back to her and he's like, "Okay, so you can't really use that because they also don't have kids. You can't just like dismiss their opinion because they don't have kids if you're going to accept their opinion because even though they don't have kids." And then she goes, "Well, it doesn't matter if they have kids or not. They agreed with me." And so like, it's just people who are stupid yelling. You're not making a point. You're just loud. You're not making a point, dude. You're just loud.
Be raising another human being from baby to adult. It's like being in an alternate universe of unbounded love, laughter, joy, and connection, mixed with insanely difficult, head-spinning, mental and physical challenges that bring you to your knees every single day. Every day. Parenting is not for everybody, and it's okay not to go there. But if society continues in this direction of disposable relationships, encouraging kids to ditch their parents when they're no longer needed.
Nobody's encouraging children to ditch their parents. People are being encouraged to leave their abusers. Congrats, you were an abuser. Consider having just been a good parent. We've not seen a single story, and we've seen so many at this point, of people estranging from good parents. And I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure that it's just very, very rare, but that's not you. And Diane, that's probably not your audience. You can make excuses all you want, and then you can make a whole video about how cancel culture and making excuses is stupid. But you were a bad parent. You're not helping yourself by attacking your daughter constantly in videos. Congrats. I think it was like the first video that wasn't specifically about your daughter, but it's very much because of her.
Then beyond further splitting America, who's going to sign up for having kids at all? If society applauds your children for deserting you after a lifetime of support.
If society applauds your children for leaving their abusers, even though it takes an average of 7.5 times. Imagine Bowser making a video about how Peach keeps getting kidnapped from him. That's what this is.
Well, that's just another huge hole in the Jenga tower leading to America's collapse. I'm not really a religious person, but I do think those 10 commandments bring a lot of common sense to the table. They're kind of the foundation.
Honor thy father and mother. I'm going to go ahead and say that that doesn't mean accept all of their abuses. I'm going to go ahead and say that honor thy father and mother does not mean allow them to control all of your life. It comes down to whether or not you would want to be the parent your parent was. And if not, is the separation between the parent you would want to be and the parent they were a problematic one? I don't want to be like my mom or my dad because they were physically abusive. Physically abusive is enough to justify not wanting to be around them at all. I don't want to be like my mom or dad because they could not go a day without telling me that I wasn't good enough. Every time we talked, they criticized something about me, and it completely destroyed the person I was trying to become. I've gotten over it now, but I understand that that's something I would never want done to my child. That's a great enough reason. You also don't really need one as an adult to just like move on. Yeah, but what are they going to do? Read the Bible? You cannot expect people quoting religion to read the Bible. Just can't. And then it's an entirely different thing to read and then understand. Do you think people on YouTube ever read like what's happening up here? They ever read like what you all have to say? Sometimes I do. Like if I'm watching a video and there's a chat, I'll like pause it and see what's happening in there.
Foundation of civilization. Number 5 tells us to honor our father and mother. It doesn't say love them. It just says honor, as in to recognize, treat with respect,
yes,
appreciate. Some may say, I didn't ask to be born.
At some point, you transition from being a parent to being a parent and something else. You just do. For most parents, they want to have a transition into your kid's adulthood to where you're a parent and a friend. You're going to spend the first 20 years of their life raising them. And eventually, you want them to be your friend. Someone that you can hang out with, that can spend time with you. And when they have kids, you want to be their grandparent. Typically, that's how that goes. But when you transition from a parent to an abuser, you're not owed any of their time. Where is the loss of respect in validly criticizing somebody's actions? Is it disrespectful to say, hey, that thing you did hurt my feelings? Personally, I don't think it is. It might be different if, like, you know, it's one thing and then you do it in public. That might seem disrespectful. But you should be allowed to tell your parents, hey, I don't like physical touch. I don't like being yelled at for no reason. I don't like having things thrown at me. When all of that is just taken as disrespect, you're not really a parent. You're a gaslighter. And gaslighting's abusive. Oh my God. Wow. Whoa. There are types of abuse that aren't physical. What a revelation.
I don't owe my parents anything. Perhaps. But life itself is a gift. You get to be
Shut
here,
up, dude.
create dreams, and pursue them.
I have to be here and listen to you talk. That is not a gift. You're giving me a headache. I've had a headache for the last 2 hours, and it's because of you, or the headphones, or the lack of water I drank. But I think it's because of you. If life is a gift, why is life a highway? Two metaphors cannot exist at the same time.
What do you say when someone gives you a gift? You say, thank you.
Unless you're a grandparent who has been told not to get gifts for the kid, but then keeps doing it anyway. Dawn?
Because someone did something nice for you. No parent is perfect.
In that example with Dawn, it wasn't nice, right? Because she was asked not to do this, and so she's crossing a boundary. There's not really a nice way to cross a boundary that's been set by a daughter for their child. So, chill. Also, yeah, if you're giving anyone a gift, it's nice to be thanked. But if you're holding it with the expectation of this person thanking you, allowing you into their life, being or acting like they owe you something, not really a gift, is it? If life is a gift and you're giving that to your child, then why do you feel like they owe you something? It's a gift. It should not come with strings attached. It should come with a receipt. I would give it back so fast. So fast.
No child is perfect. We are all flawed human beings. If we can't forgive ourselves and others for what happens in life, our anger will eat us alive.
How many times do you think Diane's daughter forgave her for slights, for comments, for actions, before finally deciding that it was time to leave? And even after deciding it was time to leave, how many more times do you think she forgave her before actually leaving?
At the beginning of this video, I asked if children dumping their parents is the new American normal. Looking at all we've seen so far, I'd say yes. Disposable parents are being normalized more and more every day. But it doesn't have to be that way. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. If you're an adult who's gone no contact with your parents, you've made your choice. So, of course, explore your own path. Just like your parents, you're doing the best you can with what you know. But if you don't feel empathy for your parents' hurt since leaving them...
Did she get super sweaty talking for 14 minutes? Am I stupid? 14:56. All she did was stand there and talk with a lot of natural lighting. So it's not like she was like I have this light in my face for 14 minutes and she got super sweaty. You good, girl?
You don't feel empathy for your parents' hurt since leaving them?
Which is stupid. Every single person I know that's estranged from their parents feels so much guilt. You really just have to ignore it. Also, there's like a yearning, there's a pain, there's like, oh, I wish I had good parents all the time. Chill. Like, it's your fault your kids left. Surprise. Maybe that doesn't apply to 0.01%, but that's not who we're talking to her about.
Imagine if you had kids and they did this to you. The people who raised you can be your strongest, most enduring bond in a chaotic world. Just consider reconnecting. Once your parents are gone, they're gone. If you're a parent,
you should consider ignoring all the abuses you've been handed and will continue to be handed because one day your parents will die. Maybe that's enough to guilt trip some people. In the Raised by Narcissists subreddit that I went through, a lot of people surprisingly were like, I can't wait for that to happen. When my dad dies, if he's not already dead, I won't know about it. No idea. There's nobody on my dad's side that is going to know and be able to contact me. No idea. Don't know where he is or what he's doing. No idea. When my mother dies, I will have regretted a lot of what our relationship ended up being, and I will wonder if she will do the same. But if I come back now and I find my way back into her life and allow her into mine, I will have many more regrets when she does finally die. So there's no way for me to win.
Whose child has rejected you, you simply must heal. You can choose to be miserable, clinging to the expectation of grandchildren or family get-togethers till the end of time. Or you can let go with love and move on with your life. I'll show you how in future videos. Letting go gives you freedom and puts you in a better place mentally should your child ever return. I mentioned earlier that cancel culture and social contagion are contributing to the breakdown of families. But there's something even more insidious at work in society today that most people don't even see. And I break it all down for you here so that you'll fully understand the hidden causes of estrangement in America today.
First they came. This is so unrelated to anything she has to say. Also, like, I gotta tell you, big dog, you're not experiencing a Holocaust. Oh, my kid doesn't want to talk to me anymore because I was a bad person. This is worse than the Holocaust. Like, that is such a wild thing to think. We're not gonna start a genocide of parents. I cannot imagine wanting to be a victim this badly. Oh, that sucks. That's just wild, dude. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get any of it. I don't get wanting to be a victim this hard. I don't get thinking that, like, the world revolves around you this badly. I don't understand wanting to be this important. There's just no part of me that's like, how selfish you must be to just refuse any self-awareness, to refuse any introspection that may make you feel bad or seem bad. How lonely of a life it must be to think the world revolves around you and that everything that's ever been done is a slight at you.